Mark Crawford here with Sustainable Frugal Living, and this video is going to be covering our hard apple cider. You've probably heard me mention it in a couple other videos if you're checking out our videos. Anyway, I've got my spectacles on because I've got to read some long words here. What you want to do is start off with, or this is the way I do it. I should premise this with, if you look on YouTube and Google, you'll find literally dozens and dozens of different ways to make hard apple cider. I'm not saying my way is the best by no means, just that this is the way I like to do it, and because I like the taste, I like the method, and that sort of thing. Anyway, I start off with apple juice. It's 100% apple juice, and it has no preservatives. That's the most important thing. You don't want to get any apple juice or cider. You can start off with cider. It's not hard cider, but it's cider. But the main thing is you don't want to start off with any preservatives, such as potassium sorbate or sodium benzoate, because number one, they're preservatives, but most importantly, it will not ferment. It'll cause your cider to not ferment, so it won't be hard cider. It'll just be cider. Now it's a little confusing. Like on this here's 100% apple juice. There's no sugar added, but it's a little confusing. You look over here and you see this over here. It says in the ingredients, absorbic acid. And that alarmed me a little bit. What the heck is absorbic acid? Well, that's just another name for vitamin C. So that's all good. So the first thing that we do is we sterilize. I'm using an Easy Clean by LD Carlson, it looks like. And it's a no-rinse powdered cleanser, sanitizer. And it tells you how much to use, but you can just sprinkle in a little bit like that, like a half a teaspoon to a teaspoon. It doesn't really matter. It's not harmful to you. And we're just going to put this in our fermenter, add some water. Lid on, and then just shake it up. Make sure you're coating all the sides of it, just like that. And then once you do that, you just pour it out. And this is called a no rinse. So you don't have to rinse it out again with water, and you don't really have to wait for it to dry or anything. This stuff here is all good. Okay, the next step I wanted to show you is to do the brown sugar, the yeast, to get it started. I think people call it culture, I'm not sure. But anyway, you could do that right in this unit. Like I say, if you look online, you're going to see dozens of different ways to do it. This is the way I do it, right over here. I put a saucepan on the oven, and it's very, very important. I don't get it to boil. What I do is let me back up here a little bit. I put 1 cup of brown sugar in the pan, along with about a cup of juice. It really doesn't matter. You don't want to overfill your pan, obviously. But the whole idea is to warm it up so that the brown sugar dissolves more readily and faster in the juice. Brown sugar doesn't dissolve quite as fast as white sugar, so by warming it helps speed up the process. But the emphasis here is don't heat it up. Don't whatever you do, don't bring it to a boil. And the reason being is because when you add your yeast, and I use a yeast energizer, it can't be hot. It's got to be cold. It can be a little bit warm, but best thing is to don't do that until it's cooled off completely. And that can take 15 or 20 minutes. Or you can put it in the freezer for a little bit and speed up the process. But the what we're doing is it's approximately half a pound of brown sugar, which is equal to about a cup of brown sugar. We're using 1 teaspoon of yeast, and what I'm using here, I don't know if you can see it, it's a sulfale S-04. There's different, this is a dry ale yeast. It's what I like. I've used champagne yeast. I've used beer, specifically made for beer. I've used different yeast. This one works pretty good. I also use a yeast energizer. Some people call it a yeast feed, but and this takes half a teaspoon. So again, we're looking at half a teaspoon. That's per gallon. We're actually dealing with 2 gallons here. I'm sorry. So it's doubled. So this would be a teaspoon and 1 teaspoon of the yeast. Again, I want to stress that you're going to see all kinds of different recipes and so forth. And some of these recipes are for making very strong, kick your butt liquid as quick as possible. But that's not what I like. I've actually experimented with different amounts of yeast, and I've experimented with different amounts of sugar, and you can make it way too strong. And then that sounds cool, especially for the younger generation that's ready to party. But that's not what this is about. I'm wanting a hard apple cider to enjoy, especially after doing yard work and that sort of thing, to just grab out of the fridge and enjoy it. Very, very smooth taste and very enjoyable. The problem with getting it too strong, like I said, I experimented getting it stronger and stronger to see what it was like. But it got to the point, and I don't want to get too complicated, but in the process of your fermentation and your bottling and you're putting it in the refrigerator, whether you're using white sugar to finish it out with, and there's just so many variables. But it's possible, and I've done this, to make what the old timers call applejack. And applejack is not fun. It's probably more like white lightning or moonshine. I mean, if you do it right, it takes an expert, then maybe it's okay. But when I made it, it actually gets you drunk, and that's not the purpose of what we're doing here. It gets you drunk very quickly, and within a few hours later, not even the next morning, just a few hours later, you have a horrific hangover. So I want to put a word of caution in there to start out with a smaller amount of yeast and sugar, and just build it up to the alcohol level that you like, that's enjoyable. Okay, so anyway, back to our recipe here. We put the apple juice, the sugar, the brown sugar in there, warm it up just a little bit, let it dissolve. Once it's dissolved real well, just let it sit for a long time, 15-20 minutes, or put it in the freezer to cool it down, because you can't put your yeast and yeast energizer in there when it's too hot. Okay, once you do that, you just cover it with the towel like this and just let it sit. And again, it might take 10 minutes, it might take 15 or 20, depending on your yeast, how fresh it is, and if it's still alive, actually. So what you want to do is lift up your towel after a while, and it should look like this right here. You see the froth at the top and the bubbles? That means that this yeast is alive and it's kicking and everything's good to go. So at this point, we're going to take our yeast. First, I want to go ahead and pour some apple juice in our fermenter. Get kind of a base started here. And then we'll go and mix in our yeast. Here it is. And then just pour it in the rest. And I don't know if you can see it here, but again, if I didn't say that, these are gallon jugs, so we're making 2 gallons. So everything, if you're making less, just cut it in half. If you're making more, make adjustments. This is really all you do, and you don't really need to stir it. Pouring it in this way. That's it. Very easy. Put the lid on, and you're going to pull this, and you're going to put it in a cool, dark, and dry place. I would have to say the most important of those 3 is cool, because I've noticed that I've done this before in the winter, I've done it in the summer, and in the summertime, if you don't have it in the house, typically everyone's house is air conditioned, especially if you're in Texas, so you're going to want to put it somewhere dark and where you don't find humidity. For instance, maybe in a pantry or in a bedroom closet or something like that, just somewhere out of the way. And as long as it's not getting too hot, it'll ferment very well. You want to leave it like that, untouched. Don't shake it, don't mess with it, for 4 weeks. You can ferment longer. That doesn't hurt anything, just it gets better as it better with age. But you want to make sure you ferment it at least 4 weeks. And then if you look at part 2 of the video series, you're going to see the next process on how I finish it off, bottling and adding sugar and ginger. And basically add a white sugar to the mix before bottling. That way the white sugar adds the carbonation that most people like. If you like it flat, completely flat, don't put any sugar in it. If you like it more like champagne, put more sugar in it. So that's the scale. And the sugar, the white sugar also adds a little bit more fermentation to it, so be aware of that. I like ginger. Ginger's good for you. So I always put ginger in it. I just love the taste of ginger in my apple cider. I have a gout, so I have to be careful of drinking too much regular beer and that sort of thing with gluten. So this is the perfect alternative. There's no gluten in apple cider, hard apple cider, and I love it. I've been brewing cider now for almost 3 years now, I guess. And this is the recipe that I like. It's very simple. It's not like making beer. It's easier than beer, is what I mean. And anyway, I hope you give it a try. If you're looking for something because of health conditions or dietary purposes, to get away from beer or other drinks, you might try hard apple cider. It's very, very good. Very enjoyable. If you like this sort of thing, I'm sorry, hit the thumbs up button, appreciate it, and subscribe, hit the notifications bell, and I'll see you in the next video. God bless.